Hi guys, and welcome back to the French Cooking Academy, continuing on our series on how to prepare vegetables. Today we're gonna cover celery. Okay, this is how you get it. It's just half a celery. There's sometimes coming in big bunch. So in French cooking, what do we do with that beast over here? Okay, so the way to deal with this, the first thing, you got your raw product. Step number one, you take utility knife, and what you're going to do first, so to detach the stalk, you don't just pull them off. We're going to cut here just a little bit of the root, nice and clean, so we can let away. There we go. And immediately you got something like this. So we got rid of that hard bit that you don't want to have. Now when you're doing this, of course, immediately then all of the stalks are separating themselves. So I'm putting the stalks back here, okay, and now we're gonna start to work just individually. So you work your stalk one by one, and you can detach, for instance, any leaves like this that you can reserve for later on. Like I said before, we don't throw anything away. So I've got here something for the peels and everything I'm going to throw away, and here eventually a kind of a recycle little bin. So I'm just making sure it's all kind of nice and clean. So we're going to start with that step. So all of these little leaves, you kind of make your way through. I'm going to keep this, I'm going to keep this, and you just make your way through all this stuff. And you kind of look at individual leaves over here. Don't start cutting the whole bunch, it has to be a kind of a work. If you think, okay, this is not really going to be useful, okay, you kind of make your way. If this is a bit small like this, you can say, okay, I'm not going to use that, no problem, I want a nice stalk for later on. Bang. Something here. If you look at this one, you think, okay, I'm going to save this for later. Save a bit here. Okay, this one, honestly, is it really going to be useful? Not really. So for now, we're going to leave it here. We just want to keep the nice stuff. So this is a nice stalk. Here there's no leaves. You can see the top here. I'm going to just get rid of that. And bang, I am done over here. Okay, so this is the first step. I've started to cut the root, the step one, and I've separated my stalks, and I've got them nicely here. Now we start the cycle again. When you're done with this, next step. So then now we advance. You can take a pillar. Sometimes you will see here it's a bit rough on the edges, there's a bit of brown, things like that. You can kind of use a pillar to clean your celery. So it's a bit like bringing your vegetables to the spa. You make them look very beautiful. If you look at it now, this is kind of brown and horrible. It's still a little dirt, but we're gonna wash this later. And here you kind of clean that piece here. That's the first step. Now, as you can see, a celery with one major important thing is you can see these little, I don't know if you can see these little strings in here. There's a lot of fiber in this. And what we're trying to do before we're gonna wash and cut these things, it's a bit hard sometimes, but we're gonna try to get rid of, I don't know if you can see, there's like these little fibers inside. And we're trying to get them out of the celery. So it's not always easy. You see, that's why you can start from the edge here. And as I detach, do you see this? Look. And boom, you can remove again and try to go and remove some of those little things. So I have to say it's a bit of a work, because sometimes you really need to kind of work around and find your way and peel just these strings. As you can see, this is the bit you don't want to be eating or having in your plate. You know, so as much as you can, you really try to remove as much as you can. All right, and then you put it here. The same thing over here. You're gonna try to expose the strings a little bit. Okay. A little space. I put my knife here, so I'm running out of space. And again, we're gonna try to cut here and see if I can get some of the, you know, it's again the same exercise and trying to get as much, as much as those, like, oh, you see, there, that's a nice one. So basically that's the exercise. That's a nice one, when you got really the fiber out of it. You know, and this is very important. And this is also the difference when it comes to sometimes to French cooking on how to prepare certain vegetables, and when you eat them you will see the difference, you will feel the difference. You won't have a mouthful of those things, you see? That's what you don't want. And a lot of people keep these things in the dish. And that's really, really the last thing you want. So again, I've exposed this one. It takes a bit of practice, and honestly I'm also not the best at this, but it's just a matter of breaking. Don't use a knife, and you kind of try to make a breakage here and get this as much as you can. Try to get some of those. You see, this one is not perfect, kind of a bit too much one, but I can still use my knife and, you know, remove the biggest. Of course, you won't be always able to remove absolutely everything, but what we're trying to do is really to get rid of the most annoying bit that we have. Okay, so I've got this. Let's try this one. Yep, look at this one. That's a nice one. Sometimes I like doing this because, you know, it's like a bit of a game. You know, it's like how many strings you manage to pull off these things. But anyway, this is the idea. You know, you can repeat, it takes practice. You know, even on that video, I'm not going to get every strings out, but the idea is, you know, to clean as much as you can from your celery. So look at this. I've started with my big product. I end up with some stalks that have been cut to the desired size. I've removed some of the strings. You know, if you see more, I'm going to be able to, you know, get rid of them again with the knife if there's too much of these, so that the celery is nice and free of fiber when we're going to be using it. All right, so the next step, you got your peels here. I can keep this on the side for something else. If you want to make a soup or something like that, of course, if you want to use it, you're going to have to wash it. And washing is the next thing we're going to do. So basically you take your stalks, and as I've got here, a bit of water, you take a little bit of running water, and you're gonna be, sorry, putting in the camera again, and then you try to really clean the stalks as much as you can. Okay, so it's really a bit of running water in between the stalk. Make sure there's no dirt, there's nothing. And you got your celery nice and clean. Alright, so this is now my celery being prepared. The fibers are off, it's nice and clean, ready to be cut. I haven't had a chopping board around here. So now, this is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to use a chopping board. So I'm going to get rid of those, put this in the bin. Of course, get rid of all my stalks and whatever. I'm going to reserve this somewhere else. And I'm gonna set myself up just with the chopping board, so to avoid any sliding, what I usually do, I try to put a bit of, you know, paper towel or something under, so if we use a chopping board, so next you take a chopping board, alright? This is gonna be for your end product, and you can, if you want, you can still have another bowl for eventual little bits, you know, you don't want. And here's is the same. So, you know, it all depends how you want to use it. You don't want that. You don't keep it, you know, nice size. This is not very good looking. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Okay. So you get a bunch of stalks. Now, there's not many use when it comes to French cooking on, you know, you use celery, but there's not many cuts, sorry, you know, in terms of how you're gonna cut celery. Most of the time, or you can braise it, I will cover that later, when you take the whole celery, that whole branches, you keep them as a bunch and you braise them, you can blanch them and then braise them. But otherwise, when it comes to the celery itself, the only thing we do, you just finely chop it. So you got your celery and you just make your little slice. The only difference there is how thick you want them. If you want them really fine, you're gonna do like chopping, you know, you're gonna control your slice. And you're just gonna, you know, get something thin or something thick, etc, etc, etc. But you got the idea. And that's basically the biggest use we have in celery is cut in that shape. Sometimes you can use a branch of celery, like a little one like this, you know, that you're gonna combine with some of the leaves we've seen before, that I'm gonna wash. And you're gonna put this something like that. You're gonna add some thyme, you know, maybe a bay leaf, something like that, and you can create what we call bouquet garni, which is an aromatic bunch of herbs that you're gonna use in your soup, in your stock, or any preparation. Okay, so you could have little bouquet garnis here, and you can have your celery just chopped. So of course, I'm just gonna finish this one here. Okay. But that's it. Nothing fancy. I've got here my end product, you know, so I could have a bouquet garni style, just some little celery. Very nice to eat, less fiber, very enjoyable. It's very healthy as well. Anyway, that's it for our celery part, and I will join you next on another video on another vegetable. Have a good day.